This is my island home I've lived in for the past 5 years. I've spent a lot of time here, a lot of time in my room, and a lot of time here, and here, and here, and here. This home, in all its quirkiness, has become something really special to me. It's become my own healing arts center, my own school of arts. Now, as I prepare to move out of this house, I'm telling the story of my time within these walls. I made a book to commemorate it all. The outside of it is covered in mementos of me, here, moments of a time, and I filled the pages with 6 separate chapters of what it is my time in this home allowed me to do and feel and be and discover. This is me stepping out of my quiet space, my quiet room within this oddly charming home, so that I can honor a time and place and also, majorly, myself. Welcome to Chapter 1, The Art of Education. This chapter is about my education in holistic nutrition, women's health and the menstrual cycle, holistic birth mentoring, and yoga. The visual storyline in this chapter is what you'd see if you peered into an average day of my time here.
When I open the door, you'll be blown away. Oh, just wait.
Chapter 1, The Art of Education. The pains of decision-making can be remedied by choosing to meet yourself where you're at. When I was nearing the end of my senior year of high school, I was faced with overwhelming fear. Fear of what in the hell would come next. Fear of what in the world I'd become. Fear of what in the world life meant. Fear of how in the world my childhood could be gone. Fear seeped into the lens I put on every part of my life. Fear made me feel physically panicked and off balance, which led me to fear my very own body. I longed for a safety zone. I longed for some place that would make me feel better. In meeting myself where I was at, I intuitively began creating that very place for myself. A certification in holistic nutrition. Holistic nutrition is the art of attuning yourself to the trinity of the mind, body, and spirit. It's the art of interconnectedness. It's a spirit-filled art that has its roots in our earthly reality. It's a grounded art that is spirit-filled, the perfect place to begin seeing the potency of spirit in the things you once labeled as mundane. Food, lifestyle, and environment, and how it relates to you. These are the 3 core pillars of holistic nutrition, and they do something for us that we've been led far away from. They teach us about ourselves. They bring us back home. It's an art of listening, of trying new things, of recognition. At its core, it teaches us what feels right to us and what doesn't. What makes our stomachs ache and what makes them feel at ease. What makes our bodies stiff and achy and what makes them open and release. What places make us waver in discomfort and what places make us feel welcomed. It teaches us that we have power when it comes to our own health and well-being. It's the practice of this art that fortifies your world within the big world. It creates a container for you in your life. But don't be mistaken, it does not limit you. It expands with you, and it keeps reminding you who you are. I studied through my certification course in a state of awe. One of the key influential aspects of the time I spent in this realm of study was acknowledging the physiological, complex functions that are constantly being performed in our bodies and the way they come together to create an integrated whole. There's a spirit to this that, to me, is undeniable. We're not made up of a bunch of separate, fragmented pieces. We're made up of integrated systems. Within each of us is an entire universe, intricately designed communities, cells with purpose, working to keep each of us in a state of health. It was an understanding of the physiological functions of the body, paired with a realization that the body is doing all this constant, complex work for us, that seemed to unlock gratitude for my body. A feeling of being loved by my very being, and truth in that we really are in a relationship with ourselves, and we need to know ourselves so that we can take care of ourselves, so that our bodies can do their part to take care of us. You are never alone. You've got a universe inside of you with a mission to keep you alive. What a powerful kind of love. My room began to fill with books, my binder filled with diligently taken notes, my computer filled with both contemplative thought and epiphanies of understanding. And with that, the fearful world I looked out at began to thaw a little. The whole body is exactly that, whole, and everything is connected. I was learning to feel what sounded right to me. I was learning to see areas that had a light turned on and a space waiting for me. That's how one thing led me to the next. An encounter with feminine power, a women's health study. Once you find parts of yourself, or rather, once you understand parts of yourself, you begin finding and coming to know more and more of you. The artful world of holistic nutrition created an awareness inside me. There was underlying pattern and rhythm to me. The rhythms, the seasons, the cycle of womankind. Following the menstrual cycle is an art unto itself. It teaches a woman to move with herself instead of away from herself. It teaches a woman to bear the tides of both life and death within her. It gives her opportunity to face herself, her pains, her suffering, and bring her through to a place of undying love. Befriending my menstrual cycle has allowed me to befriend myself. It's alleviated the fight and allowed for flow. A key practice in the art of the menstrual cycle is MCA, or menstrual cycle awareness, which is a practice of journaling or documenting each day of your menstrual cycle so that you can become aware of your unique patterns and rhythms. It can be basic or detailed daily observations. What I once thought of as random days of fatigue, or random days of certain dominant feelings, or random days of potent creativity, or random days of being super energized, suddenly followed a pattern. I was creating a documentation of myself, gathering data on me. Within these documented patterns, there was a level of predictability, and within that, comfort. When I feel anxious and somewhat out of control of how I feel, the cyclic nature of my menstrual cycle is a huge comfort to me. It helps me to honor my natural limits and not to see them as limitations. It gives me a greater capacity to work with change. It has been hugely validating and hugely empowering. It has given me the ability to work with transitions. It has taught me to not let the timing of others organize me. It has helped me to work with my nature. It's been a process of restoring the wisdom and power of my cycle. It's a homecoming. It's a commitment to who you are and your calling. The cycle can be a tough taskmaster. If you're paying attention, it doesn't allow you to sidestep your calling. It holds you to task, to purpose. It breaks down the barriers of who you think you should be and opens you to who you really are, creating an inner coherence and wholeness and intimacy with self. The cycle loosens the blockages to receiving and giving love, opening you to an infinite source of power and possibility. I am a female human, and to know on a deep level, on a spirit-filled level, what that means has been absolutely life-changing to me. I wanted more of this. I knew there was more to this. I wanted to hear more from the women. A certification in holistic birth mentoring. At this point, I was still holding on to a lot of fear. Fear over how my body could make me feel so physically awful in this fearful, anxious state. Dizzied, nauseated, breathless, weakened. I was still so afraid, so I turned to the mothers and to the art of birth. Books that held stories of birth, the experiences of human women like myself. I began to see that there is a warrior in us women. I began to see what happens when someone chooses to trust themselves. It allows them to bring life forth. And to do this, you need to know your inner advocate, advocating for who you are, advocating for what you need, advocating for what you deserve. This allows us to come into a place of both power and ease that ultimately creates life. The art of birth is an art of surrender and letting go by way of rewriting how it is we've been taught to view the act of birth, harnessing the power of the mind and inner voice and voicing our inner advocate. It's an art of trusting yourself, your body, and your humanness. It's an art of moving from fear and terror to learning how to work with the energy of birth. This is an excerpt from Ina May's Guide to Childbirth, and it can be used as a metaphor for anxiety, healing, or bringing forth life to anything. Labor pain is a far more subtle, changeable set of sensations than our cultural mythology admits. When I say subtle, I'm not talking about the feeling of labor so much as the change in attitude that can alter our perception of it. I have seen laboring women go from hell to heaven within seconds as they move from stark terror to a realization of how to work with the energy of birth. Of course, it is much more possible to pay attention to such subtle mind changes when you are being given continuous encouragement by someone who is not herself frightened of labor. You may feel during a rush, the word Ina May uses for contraction, as the word contraction indicates tightening and hardening instead of opening and expansion. You may feel during a rush as if you are being horribly injured inside, but your midwife's calm, steady manner or soothing words tell you that no injury is actually taking place. This knowledge at such moments is so reassuring that it becomes possible to feel either pain diminish or your own ability to bear whatever you are feeling increase. I can't count how many times I've seen a woman's eyes widen with fright at the sheer power of the rushes that accompany a full dilation of the cervix. When I see those eyes, I know the words that will relieve the kind of unreasoning fear that has seized her. Don't worry, I'll say. I've never seen anyone explode or tear in half. Relief is usually instant and complete. Only the baby will come out. I'll go on if I notice my words are having a calming effect. Your body is very wise. It only pushes out what needs to come out. What happens in cases like these is that with relief and gratitude comes a rush of endorphins, nature's opiates. Pain diminishes. This causes still more relief and gratitude and a stronger endorphin effect. The woman gains a new appreciation of the wisdom of nature as expressed through her body. When she starts to understand that being amused and grateful actually moves the process of labor along more efficiently, she starts to work toward these feelings herself. Hard work may continue, but she now has the heart for it. Instead of fearing her body, she experiments with trusting it. I was beginning to trust the nature of my body, the nature of fear, the power in the words I use, and the relief found within this. I began to let the mother within me speak. I began to feel a love I didn't know I could feel. A love that feels like a mother and a sister and a lover and my spirit. I began to feel the birth of a new me. Hard work will continue, but now I have the heart for it. I began to feel different at this point in my education, greatly evolved, but I still had anxiety-ridden thought patterns that seemed to be wired into my brain. I rolled out my yoga mat and got reading. A certification in instructing yoga. Yoga is the art of the subtleties. It's an art of bringing harmony, wisdom, and space to the mind and body. It's a disciplinary art that unites your mind with your body. Yoga has been such an integral art of healing for me, so I'm giving it its own chapter of this story. But for now, I'll say that the subtle yet potent wisdom I received in my studies ultimately strengthened my inner voice. Learning about it made me feel so understood, so human, so spirit-filled. It helped me to take command of my overstimulated senses, recognize where it is my anxiety thought patterns are, differentiate them, and integrate a new way of thinking and moving. There's so much to it, and there's more to come on the topic. Yoga became much more than it once was to me. I became much more than I once felt I was too. Facing myself. Paralleling this time of learning was my daily life. Transformative changes came into my daily life from what I learned, while at the same time I was facing the hardships of my choice to do things differently. I held on to a lot of shame over choosing to be at home. I felt very much so that my choices were illegitimate and not enough. I talked about myself in a dismissive way, in an apologetic way to others and to myself too. I worried that my choices were made out of anxiety and that maybe I wasn't spreading my wings. Facing this inner voice was one of the most freeing encounters I've had with myself throughout this time, because I was able to see the truth in the matter. The pain I was feeling was actually that of insecurity and not from a lack of action. This is an excerpt from my MCA journal from the autumn or premenstrual phase in my cycle, where my insecure feelings would run rampant. I need to start thinking of myself and what I do as cool, instead of knowing I'm passionate but feeling that other people will think I'm lame and, let's hear it for the 50 millionth time, not doing enough. I am insecure AF, and it's time to look at that mentality and change it. I think it was Bob Dylan or someone Lily, my sister, quoted, "I'd go to the ends of the earth for you to make you feel my love." And I need to do that for myself every day. How do you treat someone you love? I guess I'm realizing that a lot of the existentialness, smallness, and annoyance of myself that's highlighted in this part of my cycle is fueled by insecurity, but not by reality. I encourage myself to be my own greatest cheerleader, hype man, advocate, as opposed to a judgmental bitch thinking out of fear. It's a time that confronts me to show love and pride for who I am and let go of who I think I should be or how anyone else thinks I should be. You deserve to be proud and passionate of who you are. I met myself where I was at. I made choices for where I was. With time, I've allowed myself to see the value in that, to see the meaning in that, to be proud of that. It was in my choice to meet myself where I was at that kept me in this house, and in all honesty, I've resented myself for staying here. I've told myself that I must not be brave enough or strong enough to go out there and move away and live independently like all the other people my age. That is until recently, when I discovered that right here in this home, I've been unknowingly creating the place I had longed for, a place that would make me feel better. I have created a school within this home, my healing arts center. I've put love into myself here, and this home has housed it all. It's given me a place to do so. There's no need to resent that. There's need to respect that. Transformation happens, movement happens, growth happens, learning happens, wherever you are. It's what you do with what you have and with where you yourself are at that really matters. I guess meeting myself where I was at allowed for me to receive the education I really needed. I didn't go out into the world. I began building my own world, one I could actually see myself in. Education is an art that can build new worlds.
It might seem like I'm doing nothing from the outside looking in, but really I'm burning with so much passion and dedication. When you don't know what I'm doing with my life, just know that I'm working on the things that make my heart wanna burst into flames. I just like to keep to myself, but I promise one day I'll show you everything that I've